Welcome to another edition of Inside the Festival right here on Carnival Radio. This is your host, the one and only Mistress Africa Allah of the B Team GJs. And I have Dahlia from Bahamas Carnival Guide.com. She is back in the building and we have a great show for you. We have Guion here and he's going to tell us a little bit about his product and what his expectations are for Bahamas Carnival 2025 Fete Weekend. All right, let's get into it. Dahlia, once again, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me back.
Listen, at this point, I might as well make you my co-host because, I mean, you know, you're doing the radio on Soca Sundays with 100 Gems, Spuddy and Fresh International. You came on Inside the Festival. We talked a little bit about your product for Bahamas Carnival 2025. And now we've got Guion in the building. Guion, tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do, and why you're here.
Okay, Africa, thanks for having me. My name is Guion. I'm one of the board members for Dutty crew, Juve. This is going to be our 5th production for Bahamas Carnival. Just to give you a bit of a backstory, so we were a part of the original group members for the Rhythms Carnival Band, and we sort of branched off from that, and we saw an opportunity for an open lane because there wasn't any Juve in Bahamas Carnival. There had been one at the initial Bahamas Carnival, the one that Marshall joined that they had out by Clifton, I think it was, but then it kind of fizzled out. So we saw the opportunity there and we just jumped on it. And ever since then, it's been, growing pains, but we've been able to bring the brand from basically nothing to now about to have our 5th production.
That's amazing. Thank you so much for introducing that or reintroducing that to the Bahamas Carnival product, because you guys are, it's one of the things that people look forward to.
Yeah, we appreciate that. That's what we were aiming for. Just like any carnival you go to on the circuit, Juve is a must. So it was something that was, it was a void and we decided to fill it. And, thank God that everything worked out and we've been growing ever since.
Now, you say that you are filling a void, right? And I do recall that there was one year, I want to say in your initial year, Bahamas, the Bahamian Band Owner Associations attempted to have a Juve.
Mm-hmm.
I think one of the downfalls with the bands trying to have events and activities the week of Carnival is the fact that they don't have enough people to manage the capacity in regards to distributing costumes and managing a full event.
Right.
So,
well, what I'll say about that is because we came from the whole band experience to begin with, so we're quite familiar with what it takes to pull off a band, to get a band to the road. And that is no joke. So before you branch out into events from a band, you really have to have that in order, because that in itself is a tall order. And so taking anything else onto your plate is really asking a lot.
Right. Dahlia, recently in the news in regards to Trinidad Carnival, there were a couple things that happened that you would expect would never happen in Trinidad and Tobago, right?
Mm-hmm.
I want to talk about the etiquette that goes with participating in Juve, the road, fetes, etc. Because we have to hold our clientele accountable for their actions, but it's on us to let the people know what our expectations are. What are your expectations when a client comes to your event?
Well, first of all, they need to be ready for a good time. That's first and foremost. But after that, I think having a respectful time. We don't want people's good time to be ruined by the action of a few. And last year, I can speak on Juve. Last year, we in our packages, we put out a little information paper leaflet that just pointed out some of the expectations, right? Listening to the directions of the DJs on the truck, because they not only are they playing the music and providing the entertainment, but they're also responsible for the road management a little bit, right? And we hire experienced international DJs who have lots of experience being on the road, both for Juve's and for the road marches. So we trust that they can manage the road experience. You know, when we're taking a turn, for example, people need to be directed to being on a specific side of the truck to keep everybody safe. We also had some expectations of have fun, get Dutty, that's the whole point, but also be respectful of people's property. We don't want to be painting up people's cars and people's property along the route, because we have to answer to that the next day. Other than that, I think, you know, keeping your personal items safe, keep leaving them at home, really, because you don't want to be worrying about your expensive phone and your wallet and things like that. Because it's an all-inclusive experience, you actually don't need any cash on the road. So those are our expectations for Juve.
Oh, I have another one. It's pretty simple, but I think it kind of goes with the times that we're in right now. You know, a lot of times, and I saw this in an article that came out after the Trinidad Carnival as well, in reference to persons coming to events just, you know, standing up and recording rather than actually enjoying the moment. Like, we're not against you capturing the moment at some points, but actually, you know, get into it more than actually just recording. Because, you know, life is to be lived, and that's the whole purpose of what we're doing. So just that.
I think that's a major point. I usually tell my clients, allow the videographers and photographers to capture the moments and you experience it. Now, if inside your group you have people that are authorized to do some cheaters cams, Dahlia, that's fine, but we shouldn't be in the middle of a fete and you have your hand up in the front, recording everything and just looking sour. Like, that's not what we're here for.
Yeah.
This is not a fashion show.
Totally agree.
I do have a question though. Dahlia, you mentioned that dirtying property. Have you guys had issues with that in the past? Because we are on a public road and there are some private homes and cars and businesses that we pass. Has there been an issue with that in the past?
Not explicitly. So we've been lucky because, you know, we are doing garbage pickup along the road and making sure that people are staying safe and that nothing's getting damaged along the route. So we've had lots of luck with that. I think that speaks to the people who participate in our event. But we want to prevent that from happening ever, right? So luckily, no.
Now, fete etiquette. You said be mindful, be respectful of people. What about people that this is their first time experiencing something like this? And I remember my daughter experienced Carnival for the first time, and her takeaway was, there's a moving bar. Same thing with my nieces last year. They experienced it. They were like, there's a moving bar. And upon leaving the island, they said that, Auntie, I thought that the rum wasn't getting stronger, but it just seems that I never got sober. And that first experience, listen, the Juve turned them out. What do you say to people that have never experienced Caribbean rum or that whole ability to just drink until you can't drink anymore?
I would say, and this is to my American friends. If you think you can drink, dial that down a bit when you come down this way, eh? Because our rum and our beers and everything else is stronger than what you guys have at home. So just be mindful of that. And this isn't a brag or boast. This is just the reality. So, measure your pace and just be mindful of that.
Last year I brought some newbies to Carnival, my siblings. And my instructions to them and to the friends that came that were experiencing Carnival for the first time was pace yourself. This is not a sprint. We are drinking all day. You don't need to be doing every shot that's offered to you. It's okay to say, I'm going to pass on this one. Make sure you're drinking lots of water in between because it's also hot. And we're coming from just ending last year. We were just finishing winter. So we're back in the heat for the first time since, the previous summer. So pace yourself. And I said to them, if you need to go home, you're going home on your own. I will call you a taxi because you will also not ruin other people's good time. I will make sure you get home safe, but you're going home on your own. And we did have one situation where somebody had to go, no problem. We called Henny's transporters and he took them home and everybody was safe. But again, you want to be mindful that, you don't want your whole crew to suffer because of one person's inability to pace themselves.
I like what you said. We will make sure that you are safe. You can drink until you can't drink anymore, but we will make sure that you get home safely and the rest of your crew will be able to party. Now, just know that we cannot lift big, strong men who pass out on the side. I saw a couple people laying down and I was like, boy, I don't know who picking them up. My nieces, luckily one of my cousins that was supposed to be shooting, he walked with them to the car, and when I got to them, they were laying on the top of the car.
Wow.
And they were like, this is what you do for a living, Auntie? I was like, yeah, I don't drink though. I learned a long time ago, don't indulge.
Yeah. After last wine, my brother passed out on a table and I said, why don't you go sleep in the car because there's lots of mosquitoes out here. He said, no, I'm fine. Everybody else around me said, oh, he's fine. He's just having a nap. The next day I had to take him to the pharmacy because he had so many mosquito bites on his legs.
Wow.
I was going to say, your brother had him a time because I saw him a couple times. I was like, boy, I don't know what's going to happen to him.
Yeah, he sure did, because it was the case where when girls knew that it was kind of like his first experience, they were giving him a little bit extra.
That's all you have to say. All you have to say is, as a carnival virgin, they're like, what? Let me bust you. Listen, and it doesn't matter. It's not just Bahamian women. It's not just Caribbean women. Women in general. You tell them this your first time and they've been here before, oh Lord.
Yeah.
They want to show you a time.
Yeah. They both my brother and sister had a great day. After Juve, my sister was sitting down waiting for her turn in the shower she would just get quiet, and then she would wake up and say, "That was the best night of my life. I had so much fun. I'm so drunk." And then she would get quiet again, and then she would liven up again. "Oh my gosh, I can't believe that. I just want to do it all over again." So they both had a great time.
Yes. Now, the whole idea of getting your cherry burst or popped, sorry, a little Bahamian too, getting your cherry popped at a fete or a juve, you also have to be mindful and respectful of the people that came with that person.
Yeah.
So, you know, in the Caribbean, we know what a carnival is, what juve is, what a fete is. But there are people that are coming for the first time that are 2 times removed from Caribbean heritage. They may be of Caribbean descent, but have never really experienced the Caribbean. And they don't understand the nuances of the culture. How do we first address that so that there aren't any altercations during the event?
That's a tough one. I think most people just learn from observation in that regard, because, you know, in our culture, dance is just a dance. So if someone is foreign and they come with their partner and someone dances on their partner, normally that would be considered offensive. But if you're at carnival, that's like par for the course, basically. So I guess it's on both the person that's experiencing the culture for the first time, and also for persons who are used to the culture to be aware of persons experiencing it for the first time, so that they're aware that, hey, maybe this person isn't familiar with our culture.
Okay, so case in point, last year, my husband, who is 2 times removed from Caribbean culture, but considers himself a Bahamian. I call him a visiting. But anyway, I said to him, "Babe, don't dance with me. All these women out there, go find a bumper." Now, we were traveling with people that own a carnival band, 1, and 2, travel to carnivals. So they made him comfortable with the idea. I had him dance. I called a young lady over to dance with him at one of the events, right? My friend came from the other side of the boat and jumped in front of the girl like, no, that's our husband. So I feel that we need to let this is the whole reason for Inside the Festival, having conversations so that we can educate the people that are coming on the etiquette of the weekend.
I can relate to what you're saying, because I am a soca junkie and a carnival addict, but at the same time, I'm married to a foreigner, and she isn't aware of that culture. So I know exactly what you're talking about.
If I'm bringing people, like I said, I brought a small crew with me. Everybody there was a carnival virgin except for one person. But since the last time she had come to carnival, she had gotten married. So we had lots of conversations about that with the newbies. And I said, a dance is just a dance. I explained that explicitly, and we talked about what that means. And I said, you don't have to do anything you're not comfortable with, but also understand that it doesn't mean anything. And my friend who had been there before and had since gotten married was telling us, she's like, I had a conversation with my husband. I explained what the situation is. He understood what I was doing. We have a lot of trust, no problems. So I think if you're bringing people, if you're the experienced veteran in the group, it's a little bit on us to educate the newbies, educate the virgins, educate the first timers, because that will create a much more positive carnival experience and hopefully avoid any misunderstandings or any incidents that will sour the experience for everybody in the group.
Right.
I am 100% behind what you say. It is our responsibility to inform the people that we bring along and those that we process to come to the Bahamas. In the last few weeks, I've been having conversations with people that are coming to the Bahamas, and this will be their first carnival. Some, this is their first carnival, and some, this is their first carnival outside of the US, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the questions that you get is just mind-boggling in regards to like just trying to figure out drinks and understanding the concept that, you know, once you pay for your ticket, you can drink until you can't drink no more. The type of liquor that is available and what you need to have for these events. Again, setting expectations for the experience. We want everybody to have a euphoric experience, but we still need to explain to them. And Dahlia's been very diligent the way she explains, you know, leave everything at home. You don't need any money to be on the road because everything is included.
Yeah, I think it just goes to deal with culture shock a bit. Me and Dahlia went to university together. So I went to university in Canada, and it was a shock to me when I got there to know that people couldn't drink alcohol outside in public. Like I never, coming from the Bahamas, that was completely a culture shock to me because that's not even something we have to think about.
You could imagine my shock when I went to the Bahamas and y'all was drinking outside. I said, y'all gonna get locked up.
Exactly.
But the things that we do in the Caribbean, are so different from what we expect in the U.S. So
Yeah.
yes, there's that. The other thing is that we talked about the liquor, pacing yourself. We talked about dancing and understanding the etiquette behind that. Let's now talk about how do you go to 10 parties and 3 days? How does that work?
Naps.
And not be tired. You said
Once
nap?
again, just like Dahlia began on her last segue, it's just all about pacing yourself, basically. The Fed schedule in Nassau is not as tight as at other circuits, so it's much more doable. But you have some carnivals where, man, it's like non-stop. It just keeps coming at you. Like you go to one party, 2 to 3 hours, you leave there, you go to another party, you go to like 4 parties in a day.
And it's no changing.
I mean, some people change outfits and all that. I never did that because that's a lot. That's a lot to do. But you do have those types of Trinidad, for example. The Trinidad is like
that's pace. That's
that is pace. That is pace.
Yeah, you have to have a harder steel to do Trinidad.
Correct.
But Bahamas is a lighter circuit. However, there are people that were tired out. They were like, "Oh my God, this is a lot." And I'm like, I don't know. This was a walk in the park. I'm still up.
Yeah.
The party. Y'all talking about y'all ready to go to sleep. What are you talking about? Naps?
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, I've had a lot of naps in cars, in taxis. And by a nap, I mean just closing your eyes for those 10 minutes between, driving from one party to the next. In Trinidad, sometimes the drive was like 30 minutes, 45 minutes. So you were able to close your eyes. I have also changed my clothes under the bridge, like at the docks behind a car, to go from La Vie to CO Entertainment's Hello Moving Cooler. So you make it work, but you have to mentally prepare for little to no sleep, and party to party to party. And physically prepared too. I think people really underestimate the need to, go for your walks and do your workouts before a carnival, because it is taxing on you if you're not ready.
Every carnival season, I do endurance training. Every carnival season, I do endurance training. It's not about losing weight or it's about being able to keep pace with everything. Whether I'm shooting or I'm participating, like I have to keep up with the masqueraders and the people that are participating in the fetes and the Juve. I have to capture that action. So, and the equipment is not light, okay? I just want you to know that equipment is not light. It's very heavy. I didn't even realize it was that heavy until I didn't exercise one year. I was like, Jesus, I've been doing this all this time.
Yeah.
So you have to do endurance. So that means Stairmaster, that means treadmills, the little bicycles, those things you want to get your endurance up. And the thing that you want to do when you're doing those is either motions or singing, because that helps you train your breath. That's a little tip. You don't have to be fit. You don't have to be fit. You just have to not pass out.
Right.
I mean, 2023 after COVID, I remember just being on the road at Juve. I'm like, wow, like I haven't done this in a lot of years now. 4 years is, 4-year break. And I could feel it.
Was that did we do the extended route that year?
Also, that didn't help. Yes, the extended route. I wished I had a golf cart. I was ready to go on the back of the drink truck. I was like, somebody just carry me. Like at this point, I've had enough of this road. But you don't want to be there, because the last thing you want is to be tired. Like you're still having fun and you're too tired to enjoy it. So definitely mentally prepare, physically prepare for it's an endurance event. It's not a sprint.
Yeah, I'd basically say the persons who haven't done it before, take all of that into consideration, prepare mentally and physically, but just come with an open mind, because it's a euphoric experience. It's something you can't put into words. People just have to experience it for themselves.
So this year is Dutty Time Machine. Tell us a little bit about the theme and how we're supposed to dress, because until recently I didn't know that I needed to come in costume. Like this puts a whole different layer to the Juve experience for me personally.
You want to take that, Dolly, or?
Sure, I can start. You can fill in the blanks. So each year, there's been a theme. Maybe you can go through the themes over the past 4 years. First year was Colorgasm. Then it was that Avengers after?
Avengers, yeah. So we obviously could use Avengers as it is because of copyright issues. So we used Avenge Us, kind of a play on words. The year after that was Cowboys and Aliens. And then this past year was Untamed, which was like a safari type animal theme, or persons actually took another spin on the theme as well. What is fun about themed events is that persons put their own personal spin on the theme, but all of our Juves have been themed Juves because it adds another element to the event, and people can express their own personal creativity and their spin on the theme.
Yeah, so this year the theme is Dutty Time Machine, and we're hoping that people will come dressed in either their favorite decade or era. We discussed, some people going all the way back to dinosaurs and whatever else was there for the dinosaurs, and then anything from like I'm a fan of the 70s personally, I feel like I was born in the wrong era, but so, for me, maybe disco or something like that, all the way to futuristic, robots, lights. My friend she says she's ordering light up shoes and maybe some light up glasses because she wants to take a futuristic approach. But really, it's the sky's the limit. It's up to everybody's interpretation. We love to see the costumes. People are so creative.
Yeah, people really get into it. We have people come with body paint, costumes. They personally create costumes they bought. It's always fun to see what people come out in. And it's not imperative that you wear a costume. So you can wear a costume if you like, or you can come out in your Dutty Crew T-shirt that comes as a part of your package. It's up to you.
Visually, it wasn't until Cowboys and Aliens that I realized that like this was a theme. Like you can get dressed up, and I was like, damn, I missed the memo. So yeah. I want to have this. That's why I want to have this conversation, because I want people to understand like there's a whole different level to the Juve. You have all of these options. Like you could come dressed up as Abe Lincoln. I don't know.
Yeah. You can come dressed up as Trump if you want.
Yeah. I don't him.
No? Okay. Tough crowd.
But yeah, so just the idea of being able to dress up, I think that adds a different dimension to your product. I don't know. I'm sure that the different Juves that I've been to had a theme, but it was, like I said, it wasn't until recently participating with you guys that I realized that, oh, you can dress up. Most people just put on the shirt or whatever, the shirt or the bodysuit that the Juve company provides. But your people really went all out. They had the hats, they had masks, they had skin art. Like they went out. There's one young lady, she had alien scales painted on her face. By the end of the day, you couldn't tell because she was just painted up. But she came out there with like the avatar, the blue avatar skin, one side with blue avatar, and I was like, wow, this is really amazing.
Yeah.
We've had so we've tried to do a competition as well to judge it, but it hasn't always really came off because in the scheme of the event and the timing, being on the road, different DJs changing their station on the truck and all of that, it doesn't always provide for us to be able to have the competition. But we like to do a giveaway in reference to what people think is the best costume and that kind of stuff. But I don't know, we'll see how it goes this year.
Well, as long as we put out the information, I think that we can make that happen. Maybe that'll happen when you park.
Yeah.
Towards the end, we can do something like that and acknowledge whoever, if the person is still standing.
And that is the key, because we have had to tote some people on the back of a paint truck to get them back to the starting location.
Yeah.
Right. So Dutty Time Machine is going to be happening. That is June 5th, Thursday, June 5th. You guys can go ahead and purchase your tickets. Give us information and details on how they can purchase their tickets and what you're offering.
So they can visit our Instagram page. All the links needed are in our bio, but DuttyCrew242.com is our website, and there's links on there. That's the easiest way to access them. With your ticket purchase, you receive your Dutty Crew Juve package, which includes bare minimum a t-shirt, a bottle, and a phone protector, as well as a drawstring bag to carry your necessities on the road. As well as some... Go ahead.
Your wristband, don't forget that. That's very important.
Yes, your wristband is your ticket into the event, as well as your ticket to get a snack either before or after the road. It also is a drinks inclusive event. So once you pay that initial ticket price, it includes all of your drinks on the road, from the pre-party to the road to the after party, the cool down, which we have back at our starting location. We also have a pre-party that starts at 9 p.m. that goes on for about 2 hours before we hit the road. And our road we're accompanied by police. So we're trying to provide a wonderful experience for everybody, but so that everybody's safe and secure on the road.
The Royal Bahamas Police Force.
The Royal Bahamas Police Force. Don't paint the officers up because they do not like that. Ask Dion.
Yes.
Ask Dion about that.
Yes, please listen. There was a young lady last year. I was scared of her. She was a little thing, but boy, when them boys, she was like, no. Yeah, they do not paint them. Do not whine on them. They are there for security purposes only. Don't mess up the car. I've seen that at the Juve in Miami. I saw the Broward County police officer car look like a paint party. Do not do that, because that's the easiest way for you to catch a seat in the back.
I was just gonna say, get locked up abroad. We don't want that. But yeah, that's the experience, and honestly, the feedback has always been positive. Any of our criticisms or areas of improvement we've taken to heart. Every year we try to produce something bigger and better to give everybody the best experience possible, to make it worth your while, and I think we've been successful.
And just know the liquor is not cheap. Bahamians do not drink cheap liquor, so you don't have to worry about whining till your stomach breaks down. That's not a problem at our events. I've heard some people go to places and end up in the bush somewhere because the liquor didn't agree with them. But not in the Bahamas. Not in the Bahamas.
Yeah. Oh, and then too, that you would mention that we believe in giving people value for their money. So when we first started this, we started out knowing that the Bahamas was a different market. Carnival is an indigenous to us, so we had to kind of do an educating of the public as to what to expect, just as what you do, including this program. We had to do the same thing with our clientele. When we first started Juve, the price point, our early bird tickets were like $45, because we had to get people we had to educate people on what Juve was, what it included, because the Bahamian public, if they don't know you, they're not going to support your event. So you kind of have to endear yourself to persons first before you can. So just a segue on this, what the international standard is for pricing for Juve. Like I told you, we started off at like $45 for our early bird, and now we're kind of up to where the level of where persons are used to paying for Juve internationally. So it's been a process, but we're there, and we've arrived where we wanted to be when we first started.
So are your early bird tickets still $45?
Definitely not.
Oh, okay.
That was so 2018. We're now in 2025, and we're now at the standard of where persons are used to paying for Juve. And so the earlier years, like I said, in any business, the first 2-3 years is basically just you putting yourself out there. You may take a loss, sometimes you take a hit, or you may break even. But now we're at the place that we were initially aiming to be at, and so we still offer early bird tickets, but they're not at the rate that they were at 7 years ago.
That's fair. Thank you for joining us inside the festival. It has been a pleasure to have you here. The Dutty Crew, Dutty Time Machine, Thursday, June 5th, 2005. Go ahead and get your tickets. It's DuttyCrew242.com. That's DuttyCrew242.com. And that's DUTTY.
Yep.
Crew, CREW242.com. I had to say that because my computer keeps changing it to dirty.
Yeah, autocorrect. It doesn't stop.
Right.
You can also visit bahamascarnivalguide.com. That has links to all of the events happening for the entire weekend, as well as information on the bands. Shameless plug.
There you go. Until next week, this is Inside the Festival. Make sure you tell a friend to tell a friend. You are tuned in to Carnival Radio, the ultimate place for information on Bahamas Carnival Fete Weekend, June 4th through 10th in Nassau, Bahamas.